All right. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. I'm Charles Channon, MVP and longtime pro developer and enthusiast of the Power Platform. Here with me today, I've got Garrett Pierce. Garrett, welcome.
Hello.
We're going to be talking today a little bit more about governance. This is part of our series of videos talking about the importance of governance. Um, what you'll know, from previous videos with us is that we're very pro dev focused folks. We're pro developers ourselves, and in the today's environment, pro developers have had to take on more and more responsibilities in Power Platform deployments. So we feel it's really important to give this pro dev perspective on things like governance because it's a thing that often has to be done by developers, right? We have to be not just coders anymore, but we're also admins. We're also technical support a lot of the time. We got to understand these things and the importance of them, the value that they can bring to our enterprises and to our customers. All right, so
Mhm.
today we're going to be talking a little bit more about the CoE Starter Kit. I'm really glad that we can do this. It's an important topic.
Yeah.
Garrett, to start us off, what is the overall view? What's that? Let's start at the 100-foot level. What
hmm
is in the CoE Starter Kit? What's it for? What does CoE even stand for?
Yeah. CoE stands for Center of Excellence. It's a group of tools from Microsoft itself, Power Cat team, that aid in managing, governing, and administering Power Platform workloads.
Okay. So what
Yeah.
does that mean? What does that mean to aid in managing and governing Power Platform workloads? Like,
Yeah.
does it do all the work for me so I can take a nap instead of doing my admin job?
Unfortunately, no, but
Ah,
it does it'll probably give you more time for naps. It'll definitely save you some time. So yeah, it has a bunch of things. There's kind of these tables that will, when you plug it into your environment, it'll add a bunch of tables that are almost kind of like metadata tables in a sort of way. Like I mean, they sit alongside your normal tables in Dataverse, right? But they are, you know, tables that contain data about other things like flows and apps and that sort of deal. And it can automate some administrative tasks as well. So it will, I mean, it's all just stuff that is meant to make, monitoring your workload much easier. It gives you a much easier view into things. And there's a lot to it. We'll cover a few of the basic apps today, and then we'll actually have another video where we dive a little bit deeper into the dashboard views.
okay, cool.
Um,
Cool. And so
yeah,
you said all these tables it's adding. So this is actually a Dataverse database, right? That's being used to track
yeah,
and oversee Dataverse databases. That's interesting.
yeah, that's
Okay.
right. Yeah, yeah. So actually, if you kind of go in, it's a solution that you can actually get on GitHub. It's Microsoft under their account, the CoE Starter Kit.
Okay.
And so it is a managed solution that comes in, and you can actually see the Center of Excellence core components here. I'm not going to take too much time going through the actual solution, but it is indeed a solution that you bring in. You see, it's got 45 tables here. Um, things like audit logs and um, CoE solution metadata, desktop flow,
Awesome.
cloud flow stuff, makers, Power Apps. It's got a ton of different stuff that will all keep data on your Power Platform tenant. And yeah,
So since
makes it
this
really
is a
easy.
Power Platform solution, does that mean it's also
Mhm.
extensible? Can we build things on top of it?
Yeah, you could build things using those data if you really wanted to. Yeah, no problem.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Good,
yeah,
good, good.
yeah. So yeah, as I said, it's available on GitHub right over here. We'll provide a link to that in the description of the video. And yeah, it's something that's released every month. They put out an update, so they're continuously adding to it and updating it, adding new features and that kind of thing. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
So let's talk about some of the core elements, right? There's got to be some kind of structure to it. At a high level, what are some of
yeah.
the core pieces that make up this tool?
Yeah, well, there's probably the biggest thing. You'll want to start with the CoE setup and upgrade wizard, which is, if you're familiar with installing anything, you'll be familiar with the concept of wizards. That it's a little tool that's supposed to help you get things set up and moving. So you can see right here, there's a bunch of different steps. You get your prerequisites and then communication methods, settings, and it has you running through environment variables and There's flows that have to run that, will gather all your data, that kind of thing. So there's a lot going on. Yeah, and yeah, that's where you're probably going to start is with the Center of Excellence Setup Wizard.
Okay, awesome. So once we got it set up and installed, and I assume we need, enough permissions, probably you need to be Power Platform admin in order to run it,
Yes,
right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So once we've got this installed, what are some of the main things that it does, right? Are
Yeah.
there flows? What kind of things does it do?
Bunch of flows. So if we click in, this is just the core component solution, but we've got 113 cloud flows here that do all sorts of different things. So you're running those flows as part of your initial setup, and those flows are also, I think, scheduled on themselves so that they will run from time to time and continue to get data that it needs. But we will also dive into the CoE Admin Command Center. This is kind of your jumping off point for all the different stuff that you might have. So it's got your bookmarks here. You'll see things like app catalog, um, the environment requester, the maker command center,
Oh,
things like
cool.
that. So this is where you'll actually start whenever you want to jump in and do some administering on the Power Platform.
Cool. So it sounds from some of these names like app catalog, right? Sounds like some
Mm-hmm.
of these apps and tools are really targeted towards the administrator, and some of them are actually targeted towards, users and makers. Is that about right?
That is correct. Yeah. So app catalog serves as a place where you can actually go and find different apps. We don't have anything in here right now, but you can go ahead and use categories to find your different apps, and you can also, as an administrator, leave feedback for makers to make their apps better or request access to apps that you might need to use. So
Cool. So
yeah.
self-service access to the apps that are in your enterprise. Oh, that's neat.
hmm Yeah, it's pretty helpful. Good to see, good to use to see all your apps at like a kind of a high level view. So yeah. Let's see. There's also stuff in the core components. We'll talk a little more about that here. There's things like capacity alerts for when your database is getting to capacity. You can set up welcome emails that will kind of similar to what we were talking about in the last video. You can customize to make sure devs know your various dev standards and that sort of thing. And then there's also audit logging capability, which if you jump over to audit logs, there's the setup wizard for audit log features.
So what do the audit
And
log features look at? Are they just aggregating audit logs from across environments, or are they doing something else?
yeah, they do a bunch of different things. They can kind of give you visibility into what your makers are creating and, provide a bunch of different stuff for compliance management so you can keep an eye on what your developers are doing. And make sure your developers are in compliance with the processes. Also helps you to monitor inactivity, like apps that haven't been used very much and might, be something you can kind of schedule for deletion or, yeah. There's also you can do things like app quarantine or clean up orphaned resources. Like say somebody leaves your organization and they were previously an owner of a flow or something like that. Well, now you can go ahead and see that that's been orphaned and um, you take that and give it a new owner, have it owned by the organization.
That's a
Oh, hello,
fantastic
dogs.
value add.
Yeah, it's pretty great. So we'll also jump into we've got the Power Platform admin view, which is these are not exactly the same as the Power BI dashboards, but there's some similarities. So um, you can actually see Charles and myself have been quite active in the tenant. So it's gathered information from a bunch of different places. Apparently, I've done 116 apps, which is a surprise even to me. But yeah, it'll give you a view of where your stuff is coming from, who's making your stuff, your various makers, and how your environments are doing, that kind of thing. Like the CoE Starter Kit demo environment, which is the one that we're currently in, has a disproportionate number of apps because apps and flows because of that's where
Oh,
we've
works
got all that
smooth.
stuff sitting. But yeah, you can also see some of our other environments and the apps and that kind of stuff that's in there. So um, yeah, it also kind of gives you a view into flows and most recent modifications and when they've been started or stopped and that kind of thing. We can dive further into flows, we can dive further into apps. You can get a better view of your environments. this is also a really great spot, the Power Platform admin view alongside the um, CoE admin command center for taking a look at the stuff that you need. So, um, yeah,
Yeah, so you can
any
look at your
questions?
flows in aggregate and monitor what's going on. That's amazing. Does it log
Exactly.
failures too?
I believe it does. Yeah. Oh, this is flows that are currently turned on in the environment, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and let's see, there is a spot where I think if sync flow errors, we're back in the CoE admin command center here. You can see that some of these apparently failed this morning. So maybe I should check on that. But yeah, indeed, you've got some points where it'll log out failures of your CoE starter kit. So these are the CoE starter kit flows, the things that run and like populate your data tables on the various components that you have in your organization. But
That's fantastic.
yeah, yeah, pretty useful.
You don't have to go hunting in each individual flow to find this data. That's great, and I think it's
Yeah.
especially important because if you think about the way that flow failures are normally logged, right? They send a notification to the owner of the flow, but in
Hmm.
most enterprise deployments these days, individuals don't own flows, right? Like that best
Yeah.
practice is definitely by the time you get up to your higher environments to like a prod or an enterprise deployment, individuals shouldn't be owning flows, right? Some kind of a
Yeah.
service account does, right? A service
Exactly.
does. And so no
Yeah.
one's going to get that email, right? That this is
Right.
an amazing way to get that information.
Yeah. No, definitely agreed. So we'll jump forward into the nurture components, which are components that are meant to help promote adoption of Power Platform tools, because that
Oh,
might be,
so this
a
is like
big
that
problem.
support and advocacy thing we were talking about in our overview.
Exactly. Yeah, very much in line with the support and advocacy goal.
Yeah.
And so it has community hub contents where you can have videos and playlists and that sort of thing. So that people can jump in and do little training videos and that sort of deal. You've also
Cool.
got training in a day events. You can go ahead and create events and people can register and attend. You can build template apps, or you can also build like assessments if you want to have your people take a quiz and make sure they know their stuff. This is the place where you can create all that. And
Wow. So
then if
really,
we jump
it's a
over,
community in a box for your enterprise, huh?
it is very useful for that kind of stuff and building a community around Power Platform. Yeah. And then on the other side, the maker side of it, we have the nature or nurture apps maker. So you can browse the templates that somebody might have created for an app. You can browse your assessments of the solutions and that sort of thing that get built.
Oh,
And
cool.
then you can take a look at upcoming events for training in a day that your people might have scheduled. So yeah, this is the two-sided coin here that they've already built out for you.
Ah, nice. One
Yeah.
app for maintaining it and setting it up, another app for people to come in and interact. And since
Hmm.
these people who are interacting are your makers and your users, it's already a familiar user experience for them.
Yeah, exactly. And then we'll jump ahead. We've got the Innovation Backlog, which is a Canvas app, our dear friend, the Canvas app. And this is a spot where users can go ahead and add pain points or financial considerations or key details that can get back to the team that is building Power Platform solutions. So
Hmm.
this is a place where you can submit your ideas for apps or submit the things that bother you about the current apps and that sort of thing, and it'll create sort of a backlog from which they can go ahead and develop user stories or whatever your team uses to track feature builds.
And
So
specifically a backlog that's driven by business value, right?
exactly.
That's the thing here. Now you can
Hmm.
prioritize on what you know to be business value because it's come from the users. That's great.
Hmm. Yeah, it's huge. So yeah, this is a great spot, and it's pre-made, so you don't. I didn't do anything to this. I opened the link, so it's already there and waiting for people to use it, and waiting for your people to go ahead and start creating things. So
Yeah.
quite exciting.
Ready to
Yeah,
be maybe embedded in Teams as an app for Teams that we can
yeah,
put in out there for every maker. It's just there. You got an idea,
yeah.
hit that button and submit an idea.
Could be easy. Yeah, just as easy as that. Yeah. Finally, we got two last things. We've got the environment request admin board. So this is an app of itself where if your people are probably going to need environments for different things, whether they're development environments or, test environments, that sort of thing. So if they're creating these sorts of requests, you can go ahead and view them all right here. and similarly data policy requests relating back to the DLP, data loss prevention stuff that we talked about yesterday. If people are going to need a new connector plugged in to their flow or their app or something like that, they can request it here, so that you can see when a change has been requested to DLP policies.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So there's an app for that. I mean, I feel like we're in an Apple commercial here, but there seems like there's
Yeah.
an app for everything in this one.
There is. There's an app for
That's
quite a few
great.
things. It's quite nice, yeah. And then the final thing I'm going to show is the admin tasks app, which can identify opportunities to automate repetitive business processes, and it can identify bottlenecks and that sort of thing. So this is you've got all sorts of admin tasks here, like add a user to a Dataverse role, and you can take a look here, and it'll describe it. And then this is something that you can use to go ahead and um, create something that'll automate this task, and make things easier for your users. So yeah.
So this is like your admin tasks back. So we saw that business development prioritization backlog sort of
Hmm.
creative tool, and this is like your
Yeah.
admin task backlog, right? Here
Yes.
is the thing that I do. I add users, right? What do I do in order to
Hmm.
do it? Well, here's my 7-step process. How often do I do it? Right? Okay, this.
Yeah.
Now I can start to guess how much is it worth to me? How many hours a month is it going to save me if I automate this? And then
Yeah.
I can be over in GitHub or in DevOps and I can come up with an estimate and say, well, it's only going to take me 3 points to automate that. Maybe it's
Yeah.
really worth it if it's going to save me 2 days a month.
Yeah. Exactly. And you can see like things that have their frequency in here, like monthly, daily, weekly, ad hoc. And it's useful for you to know.
That's
If you're
great.
doing something all the time, then might be useful to go ahead and automate it. So yeah.
Deal.
That's about all we've got for today. It's kind of the high level view of the CoE starter kit.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of really good stuff in here, right? For dev
Hmm.
teams, for makers, for admins, right? And these
Yeah.
days, of course, as I was saying at the beginning, dev teams and admins are. I mean, those lines get blurrier and blurrier all the time. There's a lot of large
Yeah.
enterprises where the admin team is the dev team, and that dev
Exactly.
team is sort of never going to stop deving. Um,
Yeah.
they just take on more support over time. This is a
Yeah.
fantastic tool. Thanks for showing
Yeah.
it, Garrett.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts before we let it go?
Let's see. No, not a ton. Just yeah, keep it locked on our YouTube channel. We'll be adding more about this. We've got something coming up with what more you can do with the CoE starter kit. So we've got to look into the Power BI dashboards, which are another crucial component of the starter kit that we didn't get to today.
Nice.
And yeah, so that's what's up next. So hope to see you all again. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks, Garrett, and talk to you
Yeah,
soon.
sure thing. Bye.